How do you work from 8 to 5, have only weekends free, and then not feel like you're wasting your life? By making the most out of the time that you do have. Jobs are jobs, some people get lucky and love theirs, most don't. A big part of it is having stuff to look forward to a weekly class, a dinner with friends, a movie night at home, a road trip on the weekend. There's something about planning ahead that makes your workday a little bit more bearable because you know there's a fun thing at the end of it. Even if it's, ooh, tonight is do nothing night, I can't wait to immediately jump into my PJs and order pizza and play a video game for 3 hours. Make work the thing that funds your fun. It's part of your life, but not your whole life, and you get to dictate how you show up and what you do with your time. Story 2. After having been unemployed for 10 months, this is the thing. Words like free and waste need to be put into context not of time, but productiveness and mental well-being. Being unemployed, I had a metric ton of time but did nothing productive with it, partly because I had no money to spend, but also I felt really depressed. Now don't confuse that with being sad. There was this fatigue that just plagued me because of a lack of routine. Granted, I'm in the 6-hour workdays, 4 days a week camp, but I'd rather be employed than not. A better question would be to ask those self-employed people what their lives and days are like, because there is a sort of work to eat, be your own boss, make your own hours element that a lot of people are actually wanting, but it's best to get that tale from the horse's mouth. Story 3. Now, hard to imagine what it took to get that 8 to 5 schedule with weekends off. Workers had to literally drag their corporate owners out of their houses in front of their families and beat the dirt out of them. Before these protests, workers were forced to work 12-plus hour days, 7 days a week. Some of the workers lost their lives in these endeavors, all to force the overlords to treat them like human beings. Think of this next time you hear some bootlicker say, unions bad. Unions are the reason we're all treated better than cattle. Story 4. You just try to imagine things work. I work 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, while also being in a medium-distance relationship. The days end up meshing together, but time also flies by fast when I have things to do. I'm still in my 20s and I already experience fatigue from doing what I have to do, but I don't feel like I'm necessarily wasting my life because I am working, paying bills, etc. I came to terms with that. I'm not going to be some hotshot, super successful person like some people. Story 5. Real answer. These are the options that I see. A. Have a job that you enjoy, be proud of, and become an expert at so much it doesn't feel like a waste of time doing it 9 to 5 for years. B. Have your own business which you put all that energy and time into. That way the rewards and destiny are in your hands. C. If A and B are not options for you, decide what you really want to do, be it a passion project or retire early and not work, whatever. Then work like heck and save everything you can and get into investing to sacrifice 10, 15 years of grind to get there, financial freedom. If C is not an option, then last resort answer. D. Find something you don't like but can do that pays as much as possible to enable the C plan. Maybe that's an oil rig worker or sales, whatever you can do that makes bank and gets you to see above. Story 6. Are you serious? Like only weekends? People used to have to constantly work to provide themselves with even the most basic food and shelter. Furthermore, working day shift 5 days a week and having weekends off sounds cushy as hell to me, and I know for a fact that I'm not the only one. Besides, working gets most people interacting with their fellow humans and definitely out of the house at the very least, much less producing something or offering some kind of service. That isn't wasting your life. Not only that, but someone has to be working to keep the roads functional, the restaurants open, and all the other things we take for granted. Sorry, nothing personal, but I strongly disagree with the idea that working is a waste of life. Story 7. I just couldn't do it. I'm 66, male, and mostly I get by my whole life without ever plugging into that soul-crushing schedule. I never had much extra money, but I got by. I played a lot of piano gigs, taught a lot of piano lessons, and did freelance writing for companies. I enjoyed all of it, and I did it on my schedule. It's still some responsibilities. I urge all younger people who don't want the corporate routine to try to develop a skill that you are naturally good at and that society values, and then do it your way. You may not be taking a lot of lavish vacations or buying new cars, but I think the free time is worth it. Story 8. I put an excessive amount of effort into protecting my free time and ensuring I get the most out of it. First, my commute is currently less than 5 minutes, and that includes dropping the kids off at school. I've never had a commute longer than 10 minutes, and half the reason I own my current home was due to its location. Second, I nuke obligations ASAP. Kids need help with homework, do it as soon as possible. Dishes need done, squeeze that crap into when I'm cooking breakfast if possible. If not, do it as soon as I'm home from work. I hate mowing the lawn. I do it the second it needs done and the ground is dry. Get that crap done. Third, compromise on everything. My kids prefer to eat dinner in front of the TV. I don't like to fight about it, and I love free time, so we eat dinner as a family half the time, and the other half they get to eat in front of the TV, which gets me more time. Fourth, equity in everything. My commute is short, my wife's is long. Guess who does all the dishes, cooking, laundry? Me. It's fair. We both spend the same amount of time on things that aren't free time. Keep things fair, keep them moving along, don't sweat the small stuff. Fifth, resolve things immediately. Don't let them fester. Problem at work? Find a resolution or look for a new job. Problem with the wife? Wait until you are both in a good mood and then bring up the problem and fix it. Don't bring it up when you're angry. Don't let it fester indefinitely. Feeling sick? Go to the freaking doctor and get it treated. Sixth, pursue what you want, be prepared to hear no, move on. I want to go to dinner with friends, coordinate with the wife, ensure she gets an equivalent bonus of free time at some point, make it happen. Want intimacy? Ask for it. D&D is my favorite hobby, and my wife knows it, and because she knows it and because I treat things fairly, she bends over backwards to ensure I can fit it into my schedule. Seventh, preserve downtime. 8 p.m. to 12 p.m. is when I stop. I'll still help with kids or spend time with my wife, but that's when I stop doing chores. That's when laundry gets postponed to the next day. Those 4 hours are my sanity. Most importantly, get lucky as hell. I have the love of a beautiful woman and we have a tremendous relationship. I still have the love of my kids and I'm hoping to not screw that up. Do you have any idea how much easier it is to raise kids when you have a functioning relationship with them? I have a good job that is very flexible for me. Here's the thing, I have made exclusively quote-unquote correct decisions my entire life, and that's what got me to this point. But I didn't make those decisions because I was smart or a hard worker. It was pure luck that every decision I made was the right one. Do your best to make good decisions, and if you wind up with something in your life that is making it harder to live, then work on fixing it. I know it's not easy. I know not everyone gets as lucky as I have it, but I have known so many people who settle into a life that makes them unhappy rather than trying to improve things. Story 9. I worked retail for 10 years before my 9 to 6 stability for the most part. I get to the office at 9 and I leave at 6. I don't have to worry that my plans a week or month from now will be disrupted because someone called in. I don't have to worry about people staying in the store late, thus making me late for any after-work plans. Plus, I have PTO and sick leave, so if I want to stay home, I stay home for the day. My weekends are always open, relax, work on the house, or take a mini trip Friday to Sunday. All open to do what I want. Story 10. Because you have to choose between that and going homeless and living on the streets, people don't want to be homeless, so we go our entire lives wasting away and doing nothing that helps anyone other than the billionaires. We all just sort of learn to live with the literal bare minimum of what we call life. In the end, did we get our families out of poverty? Nope. Did we give our future family generations a chance at a better life? Nope. We're all slaves to an oppressive system that favors the rich. If you're born into poverty, statistics say you'll never get out of poverty. Story 11. My 2 cents? Try to travel or plan an experience every few months if possible. I don't necessarily mean an expensive vacation to somewhere tropical. It can be as simple as going to a museum or a day trip to a cool town or city nearby. Go to a concert, convention, county fair, a local art show, or sports game. Doesn't need to be a pro game. I found that doing these types of things has made me feel like I'm living life. I have a sense of, if I passed away right now, I'd be happy with what I'd experienced and the memories I made. Did I get to travel the world and see everything I wanted to see? No, but I made the most of what was in reach. Hope that helps. Story 12. My wife and I had this realization and were both pretty depressed, so we decided to try something different. We both quit corporate life and took part-time retail jobs, 20-ish hours a week each. We then started our own little hustle, dog walking and sitting. Sometimes we go together, and on busy days we divide and conquer. We both love animals and hated taking work home, and our little version of hybrid work meets those needs. We definitely earn way less, but neither of us really touches a laptop anymore. We get way more sunlight and steps into our day, plus endless puppy cuddles. Because we enjoy the weekdays more, we aren't cramming our weekends now either, just living in the slow lane, cheap and cheerful. Story 13. I do feel like I'm wasting my life. I'm exhausted all the time, everything costs too much, and I never have any money. Forget all the budget nonsense, I don't make enough. I'm 42, I live in a basement apartment. There are millions worse off and better off than me, and the fact fills me with guilt. Guilt that I didn't do better, and that I feel as though I can complain with people having it worse. I have been treading water for like 2 decades and honestly feel like it really isn't my fault. My hand was bad to start, homeless or in poverty for pretty much my whole childhood. My mom would get us a place, pay the first month or 2 of rent, and then stay until the sheriffs boosted us out. Bugs everywhere, always cold, always hungry, always dirty. Haircuts with a bowl, clothes, hand-me-downs from a kid older and smaller than me. I struggled through that. I struggled through my time in the military. I don't learn any money management because there's never any. I didn't get a car until I was like 32. Now I'm 42. And I will buy a nice cut of meat occasionally, or some good edibles, or an occasional Mets hat or a video game. But my creativity has been beaten out of me. Family, friends, and strangers, they read my stories or listen to my stories and tell me to be a writer or streamer to use my talents. And all I can think about is the next chore or task. When I do get a few hours where I'm totally free, all I can manage is podcasts and games without stories to play while listening, and then I feel guilt for wasting my time. I don't understand the point to my existence, and yet I persist, but I do feel like I wasted my life. I'm just not sure if I went back in time what much I would change. Nearly every decision I made financially was the right one. I just have never really had any money, so yeah, I don't know. Rant over, I guess? Story 14. Because my job is fulfilling and not just stacking shelves, people with this option, typically, spending too much time listening to millionaires belittling people that enjoy the risk-free, stable 9-to-5 life, are privileged kids that go traveling and don't have to actually deal with real life. Most people don't even do this out of choice, they just don't have daddy to pay for everything. Respectfully, if you're working these hours and feel like you're wasting your life, you're probably in a crap, stagnant job. Get a career. Story 15. I like my job. It's challenging at times, but never in a way that makes me feel too stressed, and I like my coworkers. Outside of work, I do things throughout the week. I may go to a concert, a puppet show, potluck, some other gathering or event, or just spend time with friends and or my partner. I don't only live for the weekend. I sprinkle activities during the week too. I also have hobbies that feel satisfying and like I'm working towards something and improving myself. For me, it's creative things like the banjo, and then on the weekend, I usually do fun things as well. At a minimum, I'll see friends once every weekend. I feel like I just also keep life interesting. I'm eager to try new things and unusual experiences. The last thing I want is to get into a rut of dreading going into work and working for a weekend where I do nothing satisfying. Story 16. If you work retail beforehand, you'll probably like an office job. Maybe because I like structure and having time on weekends to hang out with friends and family. But in retail, I hated going to work. Now I like my office job and the people I work with. There's also the reverse of being unemployed and having all the time but no money. And maybe it's just me, but I always have bouts of feeling like I'm wasting my life regardless of whether I have a job or not. The grass is always greener on the other side, lol. Having a good friend group and family and passions help me to get over that. Also, getting in some sun makes you appreciate life too. Story 17. Most jobs actually accomplish things. You're making everything work for everybody else and it actually feels pretty good. Before civilization used to work a whole lot more to get a way worse life. I honestly do not think that it's possible to ask this question and understand the history of the species. What else would you be doing with your time? Where would your sense of accomplishment come from if not contribution? What about the fact that you do have to work 100th as hard as your ancestors did and nowadays we have it really easy? How? Through the very hard work and contribution of many, many people who came before you. Our ability to sit around on Reddit pondering how work-life equals life waste was built on the backs and labor of many who came before us. We're one massive solar flare away from losing electricity. If that happens, you'll figure out really quickly how hard life is and how much work you have to do. A lot more than 40 hours a week. Story 18. Try to find a job you like or at least can enjoy sometimes. I haven't found that and might never find it, so I envy those who can. Even doing jobs I thought I'd like, I didn't, and they paid horribly, and I put myself behind in terms of long-term goals, so anyone just saying you'll be happier if you take a pay cut to take a job you like, well, they aren't really considering that doesn't always work out. Or you can try to get a highly paid job and just set yourself up for the financial security. That might not work out either, but it might, and you'll have more time in retirement to do whatever you want. The thing is, if you can find a partner to share life with, even the nonsense that seems like wasting your time is still valuable. So don't be like me, single and hating my job and just feeling like it's all a waste. Story 19. Do you enjoy the comforts of modern life? Things like electricity, consistent heating, indoor plumbing, sanitation, accessible transportation, global communication, trash collection, and a large variety of fresh food that doesn't spoil in a matter of days? Would you like to keep having those things? Now consider whether you'd be willing or even able to provide all of that for yourself without relying on anyone else. How much of your quality of life are you willing to give up so you wouldn't have to work as much or at all? That's why people work. Story 20. Well, the alternative doesn't necessarily not feel like you're wasting your life either, for what that's worth. I have never been able to endure a full-time job for long, have spent the last decade of my life moving from part-time position to part-time position. Some pay little, others pay enough that as long as I live like I'm being paid little, I can save up so the next time I do burn out, I don't have to look to family for financial support before I can find another job. I do a lot of numbing, a lot of avoiding reality, avoiding real vulnerability, and avoiding facing the terror of an empty life that is all too short. My vices are habitual rather than chemical, video games, YouTube, and the like. I have a few better hobbies. Martial arts keeps me active, connected with my body, and present in healthy ways. Reading, when I actually commit to doing it, never feels like a waste of life, and playing board games keeps me social. But I am working on it. I'm engaged in the hard work of mental health. It's like wanting a physically capable or attractive, no shade, body and needing to put in the reps, and it never manifests as fast as you want it to. But I genuinely believe now that it doesn't matter what you do with your life, any work can be potentially meaningful. Some folks genuinely enjoy the kind of dirty manual labor that is necessary in the world. What matters is that you are doing it with presence and you have the mental, emotional, spiritual strength to face fear and challenges and take meaning from your choice to commit to your best, to your values. I'm not there yet. I have a lot of healing to do, but that's my goal. That's not to say jobs can't be terrible no matter how healthy you are. Part of being healthy is setting boundaries and self-advocating. Story 21. I worked 9 to 5 for many years or a split shift, me nights, him days. We raised 2 kids, did homework, and had sports and activities each evening. We met friends at those places that had arcades for kids and food for us, even a few drinks. On weekends, one day was sports and family day, one night a week was date night, housework was a half day on the other weekend day, and everyone pitched in. We made time for church Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. We were home by 5:30 and made dinner. We still had plenty of time for things. We pushed through and didn't think about it. We just did it, and it was normal, as everyone we knew was the same. Baths and bedtime around 9 to 10 p.m., up at 6 a.m. to prep breakfast and get sorted. My mom did the same, except she worked at least until 6 p.m. every night. She managed to cook, take me to my activities, and we had a great life. Story 22. I guess I'd never specifically thought about it. First of all, and most importantly, I do not dislike my job. I feel like I'm fairly paid and I'm doing well for myself financially. So that right there is a huge factor. On top of that, work never really felt like exploitation to me. I'm not saying it's not, I'm saying it's just never felt that way to me. I guess I'm one of the good little sheep. It's just a part of life. It's something basically everybody does, and hopefully you end up being fulfilled and satisfactorily compensated for it. I think career progression is big, kind of like a video game. You grind for a reward. I'm 36 and in a position for the first time in my life where very recently I topped out as an employee. I do hardwood floors, by the way. There's certainly still room to get better at my craft, although not that much room. And most importantly, there's not really any more improvements I can make that are fiscally valuable to an employer. I will continue getting raises, but it'll just be to match inflation from now on. However, that does not mean I'm done progressing. From here, if I choose, I can start my own business with relatively low risk and startup capital. Anyway, that's how I do not feel like I'm wasting my life with my job. And if you're learning a thing or two from these stories so far and enjoying the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button for more videos just like this. Story 23. You have 5 p.m. minus your commute time until bedtime, free as well, not just weekends. Hobbies, projects at home, spending time with friends are all examples of things you could possibly do during the week as well. I leave for work 6:45 a.m. and don't get home until 5:45 p.m., 11 hours of my day. I work on house projects, play video games, go to the gym, or do some volunteer work, not all in the same day, after work. During the summer, I ride my motorcycle and or take my dogs for an evening hike. Importantly, don't get sucked into lounging on the couch. You can do that, and there is nothing wrong with doing that if you are happy, but if you are not, then maybe rethink some of your habits. I will add that I am a software engineer, so I'm not exactly doing hard labor. I also don't have a family of my own. I'm tired as hell when I get home, but not like someone working construction or something. If that's you, then I suggest talking to people in a similar field to get a sense of what they do. Story 24. In this economy, how old are you? If you are making a reasonable income that can support your expenses and you only have 40 hours a week and have the weekend free, you should consider yourself lucky. I had to say goodbye to a few coworkers who were laid off last week. Some might not even be able to find a job with similar income or even a job at all, and I was really down because of it. At the same time, I feel lucky I'm not one of them because I have a family to support. So if I were you, perhaps a way to help avoid this feeling is think about how fortunate you are and don't compare yourself with those more fortunate than you, because life is just not fair and not everyone can afford to enjoy their lives without working. Story 25. Working from home, I work between 7:30 and 3:30 and use my coffee breaks to do small household tasks, put the washer on, pick up some things, etc. Then I quit when my kiddo comes home from school, have a day together, and then work for another 30 to 90 minutes or so late evening. Instead of doom scrolling my phone, I will never accept a position that requires me to work in the office ever again. I know I could make more money if I was willing to do that, but my time is worth so much more. Also, having a job that I think is worthwhile. It does not have to be a passion, but it has to be something that you can at least be proud of or have some fun with. Story 26. I felt like this back in my early 20s. I didn't do well in school and had no real plan in life. After I graduated, my uncle hooked me up as a full-time employee at his job at the shop he worked at. The pay sucked, the hours were long, but my parents were happy as I had medical benefits. My uncle was proud I worked alongside him, but I shared none of the joy. I stood behind this giant machine for endless, mind-numbing hours a day, and I would often think, is this my life? Did I screw up? Eventually, I quit for something more fun, but that was only temporary. My parents pushed, and I ended up doing janitorial for a few years. This is when I told myself, I did screw up. This is my life, forever. There was a breaking point and an act of God that changed things forever. I had an absolute tyrant of a manager that ran the store I cleaned in the mornings. One day, my female counterpart stopped showing up to work, so I had to start cleaning the women's restroom. On the second day, I saw the manager I hated walk out of the restroom, so I put up the cleaning sign and started my routine. Having only cleaned the men's restroom, I noticed these little metal boxes in the women's stall. They had brown paper bags in them, and I thought it was weird, like they were tiny trash bags. They were all empty until I reached the last stall. I opened it up and pulled out the paper bag. It was warm. I looked closer, and it was a used sanitary item, just moistening the paper bag. So let me say that again. It was the manager's item who just walked out. I dropped the bag in horror and gagged in the sink. Just like it was yesterday, I remember looking in the mirror and saying to myself, I'm smarter than this. I'm going to fix this, starting today. And that afternoon, I was walking up the stairs to my parents' house. I'm not sure how, but I tripped and I fell on my wrist, breaking it. My mom took me to the hospital, and I remember her being worried about the medical bill. Driving home, she gave me the best advice in life that I ever received from her. You like XYZ as a hobby, why don't you go to college doing that? She suggested. My eyes went wide, like I could do something I enjoyed and get paid for it. So I went back to school, got a few degrees, and now I do what I enjoy. I've done my time, working my way up, and now my skill set can allow me to have a life that I never dared to dream of. I'm not rich by any means, but I can afford to live comfortably. So now, in my 8 to 5 hours I have to be at work, my mindset is, how do I use these hours to benefit me in my future, versus feeling like my life is wasting away? Story 27. Your goal should be to find the job that gives you the life you want. If you dread coming to work and it is draining you so much that you can't enjoy your time off of work, then maybe it is time to find something else. I'm in a position where I hate the company I work for, but the work-life balance, fully remote workplace, unlimited PTO, flexible hours, and awesome coworkers are a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So I stick around because I can live the life that I want, even if the executives give themselves raises and promotions while I get told there is no room in the budget to promote us at the bottom. I can oversleep by an hour and no one cares. Take a 2-week vacation twice a year and no one cares. Take off after lunch for the rest of the day for an appointment, no one cares. As long as my work gets done and I show up to meetings, no one cares how I spend my time. It allows me the flexibility that I need in my life to be happy. Story 28. Because the alternatives are usually worse. Owning a business or freelancing might sound free, but they come with a constant hum of anxiety. Wondering how much you'll make this month, chasing invoices, paying for your own health insurance, and stressing about taxes. That stuff eats away at your peace of mind faster than a 9-to-5 ever could. There's actually a kind of quiet freedom and stability, knowing you'll get paid every 2 weeks, that your leg-breaking accident won't bankrupt you, and that when you clock out, the rest of the world's problems aren't your responsibility. Story 29. I regularly count all the benefits that my full-time job gives me: a comfortable home, food whenever I want, running water, electricity, sewage service, garbage service, internet, appliances that make my life easier, as well as spending money for all the fun stuff in my life that I've added. The more I do this, the more stuff I think about adding to the list of things to be grateful for, and it's gotten to feel overwhelming in a good way. After that, I use my evenings and weekends to focus on doing stuff I enjoy and cutting out extraneous nonsense that just feels like obligations or that I don't enjoy. What's left is a pretty comfortable life. I still wish I had more weekend time sometimes, but that's the price I pay for all the things I'm grateful for. Story 30. You've got to set long-term goals. Are you working towards paying a house off, retiring early, raising a family, traveling the world, turning yourself into a superhuman mountain man? Some of these goals are far down the road, while others I'm actively working on now. And seeing all the progress I've made and knowing how much closer I am to conquering everything keeps me motivated and happy. For example, my main focus at the moment is hiking 500 miles total in 2025, and I'm currently at 446. I just need the weather to play nice for the next month or so. Story 31. Years ago, I watched the 168 Hours TED Talk, which really reframed the way I look at my time. I think it's a combination of making the deliberate decisions to fill my time with things I love, which means letting go of what doesn't bring me joy, learning to love what I do, practicing gratitude, and noticing the good moments, and also luck and privilege. So, for example, I love my job, which was a result of me deliberately choosing a career that suits me, working hard to hone my craft so I have more options and opportunities, and can be selective about where I choose to work. But also, parts of my job suck, so I do have to remind myself to dwell on the good parts. But it's also luck and privilege because I'm in a position where I could quit my job if I needed to and have a financial safety net, which gives me a lot of freedom. Story 32. Options: work at a place where you have self determination, you feel competent with your work, engage in your efforts with autonomy and experience relatedness with your colleagues. If you work a lot but your work doesn't feel like a waste, then neither does your life. Leave your work at work and play hard outside those hours. Engage in your hobbies, take time off as needed to recharge and connect, and find fulfillment in relationships that help you unwind and get excited. Build something or contribute to something meaningful that will outlast you, be it kids or a project or just making the world a better place in some meaningful way. Story 33. I was blessed enough to have a supportive family that let me enjoy my life from 18 to 25. I was doing mild entrepreneurship stuff, side hustles during the time to fun and enjoy my life. I've always had a certain philosophy. Why would I spend my best years working an 8 to 5 when I could enjoy life when I was younger? I think it's all about perspective at the end of the day because people are in different situations. For example, what I did could be considered wasting my life compared to how I am today, but not compared to how I was at the time. Fast forward to now, I don't ever feel like I'm wasting my life because I've already wasted it the past X years of enjoying it. Now I have a stable job, thankfully, and I'm more focused on my career and my future self now. Story 34. I kept asking myself this question. I have something to share with college students. The corporation doesn't care about you. You can be top of the totem pole, the most successful and the best employee. They don't truly care. You can be replaced in seconds if they need to, and they won't miss you. The government doesn't care about you. You can work 80-hour work weeks, save them money and time all day, and give your life. They don't truly care. Politicians and the military will swear they love you and we're in this together, but you can be dropped like a hot rock and they won't miss you. Life is too short. I went from 18 to 30 to 50 in a blink of an eye. My advice is to have fun, take care of your mental health, and make dreams come true. What would you do if there were no limits? Then do it. Story 35. It's a toughie. On my weekends, I don't sleep in. I wake up at my regular time, 6 a.m., and if I need to clean, I'll do that first so I have the rest of the day free. Last Saturday, I had to build a chicken shelter for the winter, so my husband and I knocked it out in about 3 hours. We were done by 10 a.m. after cleanup. We had the rest of the day and Sunday to do whatever we wanted. At the moment, I don't have the funds to do things that I really want to do, like travel, but when I did, we'd take weekend road trips, leave after work on Friday, and get back Sunday evening. When work rules your life, you're really not free. Story 36. If you love your job, I guess it's doable. Sadly, living on our planet means you have to be a cog in the economic machine. What kind of cog you are can be worked on, though. Me, I couldn't take 9 to 5 cubicles after 14 years. I felt my sanity slipping away. I spent 9 years preparing for self-employment. Now I'm a freelance video, photo, animation, VFX guy. Eyes on the prize kind of thing. I imagined the life I wanted and worked my butt off. Then I worked my butt off to make my business work. What I gained is personal time and a lot of freedom. Well, some freedom. I shot last Thursday from 4 p.m. until 9 p.m. The next day, I worked on tiling my bathroom. I had lots of time to be with my kids, and now my granddaughter is with me 2, 3, or 4 afternoons a week for a decade since she was brand new. We have an incredible bond. I have time to do creative art projects and work on my house. What I've given up is financial security to some extent. No regular paycheck, but I've done okay for 30 years. Nor corporate profit sharing. I'm in the US and I haven't had health insurance in a decade now. My wife is self-employed as well. We have no pre-existing conditions. My life insurance physical was like, holy cow, you're in great shape, but a decent plan is like $1,600 a month. Luckily, I'm in great health. I never even got COVID. Health insurance is just a terrible scam, but someday I'll have to buy into it. I do have birthright Canadian citizenship. Maybe when I'm falling apart, I'll move. Having an awesome partner, my missus, is a big leg up. We have each other's backs. When we met, she disliked her job, and we worked like crazy to get her established, and we watched each other's schedules and pitch in for each other. I'm a lucky schmuck, but at least I know it. Picture a life you could realistically have and work towards it, especially if you're young. Don't marry crazy, be smart with money, learn to cook. Story 37. I put it in perspective. Just a couple of thousand years ago, the idea of free time would be so absurd to our ancestors. We had to continually fight to survive against the elements for food, predators, and other humans. You didn't have a life to find your passion. You lived to survive. That being said, is life unfair? Yeah, absolutely. I hate the billionaire class. I'm all for taxing the rich and creating a more equitable society. I think late stage capitalism is one of the worst timelines. It has to be a mindset shift in yourself, not to compare yourself to other people today, but to what your life could have been just like 100 years ago, if not a couple of thousand. Life is the way it is, so try to make the best of it. Story 38. I like my job. I'm working for a healthcare company now, and I work to make the rest of my life more, well, agreeable. Yes, working takes an awful lot of time, but without it, I would be homeless. So because of the healthcare part, my work improves the life of the elderly, so that is also a large component of why I am not wasting my life. I am doing a small part in improving other people's lives, which is really great. Imagine living 300 years ago. You'd still need to work to be able to survive. You'd probably work less, but your life standard was also lowered, so it seems like it's okay-ish. Story 39. In 32 years, I have never worked regular hours. Basically, if you are awake, you are available. Weekends are just another day that ends in Y, and vacations are when you go somewhere else to work. All that being said, I have traveled extensively, experienced many amazing things that simply would be unaffordable or unavailable to me otherwise without work. And I get paid well. It's a choice, a tough one, but I cannot regret it. Story 40. The phrase, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life is kinda true. I mean, realistically, nobody ever loves what they do so much that it never feels like work, but still, you get the point. The more enjoyable your work is, the less it feels like you're wasting your life. Also, if you think you never get to do anything fun because you're always working, try not having a job, money, or income for a while and see how fun those days are. They aren't. I'd rather work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday and have the money to get to do pretty much whatever I want on my evenings and weekends versus having all day, every day, totally free to do whatever I want, but not actually be able to do hardly anything because I have no money. Also, it helps if you have somewhat of a flexible work schedule and ample vacation time. Feels less like a prison if you know you can take a break whenever you need to. For example, yesterday I had a lot I wanted to get done at home and didn't feel like my weekend was long enough, so I just didn't go to work on Monday. Didn't call in or anything, I just didn't go, and nobody cared. Nobody even asked where I was, because I had gotten everything I needed to do the week before. I'm on salary, so I get paid either way. As long as I get my crap done on time and better than expected, then really nobody cares when I work. Story 41. For 20 years, I enjoyed my job well enough that I look forward to doing it. Yes, there were problems and toxic people at times, but overall, it was good. 3 years ago, I started a job I hate every day. There are moments where it's good, but 90% of the time, it's awful. It's really taken a toll on my mental health. I suffered from depression and anxiety a bit before, but they're a much bigger problem now. I have a wonderful wife and kids. I make great money, so I'm financially stable. I have hobbies and friends, but this is the first time I've ever looked forward to the weekend so I could get away from work for a couple of days and just live my life. So, anecdotally, my answer is that as long as you don't hate your job and it pays reasonably well, you have plenty of life to enjoy. Consider that in basically any time in the past, you'd be working pretty much the entire day, every day, just to survive. It's a relatively new thing to be able to even complain about a measly 40 hours a week. Story 42. I get paid a lot. I have 30 paid days off a year plus holidays. I can schedule my own workload and work from home if I so choose. I'm also free to change my job immediately and get a new one that had the same benefits without missing out on much. First few months would suck. I earn enough money to put a lot of very good food on the table, go on a holiday, study in my free time, have a car and the freedom to go anywhere at any time. Could even do 6 months workation as long as I log in and do my job. Story 43. Well, I don't hate my job. It pays me well and I have a family to feed, so trading my time to make sure I can take care of them, create amazing memories, and get ahead in life so I know if anything happens to me, they are taken care of seems very worth it and very much not a waste of my life. If you're young, just starting off in life and don't have responsibilities of taking care of others, I can definitely see how this would be a thought in your head. But if this is something you actively think about, my advice would be to write down 3 realistic goals to hit in 5 to 10 years. Figure out what you need to do to get to those goals and execute. Once you start seeing progression in any of those goals, you feel like there's momentum in life and you are getting things done on a greater scale. Story 44. I think about this all the time. The capitalist system normalizes this because it cares about nothing except endless extraction of wealth from the labor of the working class. We weren't meant to live this way as human beings. We were inherently social, family-oriented, and creative. Though not all individuals feel this way as a whole, we are. Some people are lucky enough to have careers that make them feel fulfilled and financially stable, but for many of us, we are stuck, reinforcing a system that will never truly work for us. It's not designed to. Story 45. You share your life with somebody you really care about and you feel they care about you. You have a kid that keeps you really busy and also you care about a lot. Having a cool dog helps. I play guitar and I love it. It keeps me busy all the time. I just picked up tennis and I'm getting obsessed with it. I love playing it and I love watching it. I make fun of people all the time. It keeps me and my kid constantly laughing, though it makes my wife angry. I'm pretty damn grateful to have made it this far and to be relatively healthy, so every day is pretty cool and certainly does not feel like a waste. When that is taken into consideration, despite working 8:30 to 5, I only take a half-hour lunch. And if any of these stories got to you too, here's more for us. YouTube thinks we're going to love this. I'll catch you in that video.